So what we're saying is, it's in the case of this gay couple getting married, it's going to be a bit like a gay couple wanting to get married in a church or in a religious place which doesn't have any history or any ceremonies to marry gay people together. It's like me as a Hindu going to a mosque and demanding that they let me marry in their mosque.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You're following a different life path, they're following a different life path, and demanding that your life path be accommodated by other people, I think is overstepping a mark.
Yeah. And what about this whole Marks and Spencer's story about, if someone has a religious belief, then they can't serve someone who has a different religious belief? I mean, the whole buying alcohol and pork, I think Muslim staff can refuse to serve someone alcohol and pork. I mean, is that going too far?
I think it's going too far. Because if those are beliefs that if there are beliefs that you hold so dear, they are your beliefs. You should not be then intruding onto other people's choices by saying, make changes for me and accommodate me in your space. That's wrong.
If they're not willing to do it, they shouldn't do it, basically, right?
And in the Marks and Spencer scenario, we know that Marks and Spencer do sell those things, right? And so would I want to apply for a job there and then say, no, you can't do this? I don't think I'd want to do that.
No, it's true.
Yeah, and I think as an employer, you have to look after all of society, and you hope that your employees are going to uphold your employer's obligations as well.
Definitely, and that's to serve customers with the products that they have.
Yeah,
We've had a text from Money. He said, we're too sensitive and need to toughen up. I think that's very true, Money.
Amen to that.
That's a wonderful note to just pause for a moment and have some more messages from our supporters and sponsors. Hi, this is Satish. Join myself, Prerna and Vivek for a reasonable conversation. Every Sunday between 12 and 1 o'clock here on Nusound 92 FM. We explore controversial, non-controversial, but important topics that affect our community.
Hello everyone, welcome back to A Reasonable Conversation on Nusound Radio 92 FM. We're talking about giving offence, receiving offence, and political correctness. So if you've got any views that you want us to read out, respond to, feel free to text us on 07961 387 787, or join in the conversation by calling us on our studio number 0208 472 9292. We'll be nice, I promise.
Absolutely. and don't be fearful of giving offence. Today's the day. Okay, we had a text in earlier on, I think. Vivek, was it?
Yes, we did. We had a text in from Simaji saying, human nature is to push barriers and we are pandering to the minority. Thank you, Simaji.
Okay, but what's she got against pandas?
No.
I'm only joking. Simaji, thank you for that. Just to reread that again. We're pandering to the minority.
Human nature is to push barriers, and we are pandering to the minority. Okay. I think what Simaji is pointing at is that, sometimes small groups complain about sometimes small things.
Yes.
And just to appease them and stop any problems from developing, people you give in.
It's true. I think the majority of people don't really care if, a Christmas tree is called a Christmas tree or,
Yeah, and it's... It used to be, in the olden days, there was this character called a snake oil salesman in the States. And so they would try and sell a product which didn't really work, but they would try and tap into the person's vulnerability to do the deal. And I think that's partly what Simaji's referring to, isn't it? We're all vulnerable to... Generally, people have good hearts, and so they don't like to see somebody suffering. And so what that means is if you can indicate that you're suffering because somebody's offended you, most good people will say... Yeah, okay, let's take that on board. Until one day you end up unable to move because everybody has taken offence about everything else.
That's true.
And you have to think before you even articulate anything or speak anything. Even inadvertently, you cause offence to people.
Definitely. A line has to be drawn, I think, at some point. I think it's gone a bit too far.
So you have to be confident, I think, about what is giving offence and what isn't. I mean, some of these examples I've come across are absolutely ridiculous.
I know, especially the Christmas tree.
I mean, so Prerna pointed out, the Christmas tree example. That's where I think it was in maybe a state in America somewhere, they started calling it or referring to it as the holiday tree to not, in an attempt to not offend anyone who's non-Christian.
The old happy holidays thing.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. There's something similar in Seattle. Easter eggs, they've changed to spring spheres.
That's crazy.
Is that so that chickens don't get hurt by the feeling that their eggs are being used at Easter?
I don't think they care about what the chickens feel. I mean, we spoke about that last week.
This is true. But those chickens will come home to roost. I'm sorry, I had to get that one in. But I hope nobody took offence at that.
Too many Christmas cracker jokes, maybe.
Oh dear.
But who are these people who are responding, who are complaining about Easter eggs? I mean, there's another one, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
A UK council has banned the term brainstorming. right? And they've replaced it with thought showers, right? Because local lawmakers thought that the term might offend epileptics.
But how would epileptics be offended by that?
Wow.
I just don't know what to say. I think it's ridiculous.
You know,
It's crazy.
personally, I think I'd feel offended being singled out by some moral majority for special treatment. I think there's something unpleasant going on there in that you stigmatise a community by introducing special allowances for them.
Yeah, no,
When
it's
you
true.
identify them, you label them, and then you say, "Oh, we're doing this specially for you." So maybe that's also something going on in the power politics of offence giving and offence taking.
Because you're right, 'cause it's making that community look really weak, and that
Yeah.
they're always offended by everything that happens,
Mm.
and it's kind of singling them out as well.
And if anything, it's drawing more attention to the fact that there's these people who are different.
That's
Yeah,
true.
absolutely
With
right.
the Barbie doll case, I mean, who cares what colour Barbie doll you have?
Yeah, and there is an academic school of thought now which have identified this trend and given it a name,
Oh, really?
and they're calling it radical universalism. Right, and so what you do is you try and get rid of everyone's differences by telling everyone that they're offended by something or other, and you end up with a really grey, amorphous, boring
of everything being
life.
the same.
Yeah.
I think there was a phrase, mediocrity of the masses. That what you try and do is end up with a mediocre masses, and they're so uncomfortable, they're so uncertain as to what they can and can't do that eventually you become a shy, retired, withdrawn individual.
No, totally.
And
I
we
agree.
don't want to do that.
There's nothing wrong with people being different.
We've had a text message from Gurpreet. He said whiteboard and blackboards are called something else now. Which
Oh,
is true. I
no.
think they're called chalkboard. Blackboard's called a chalkboard because they didn't want to offend black people.
But, I would still take offence to that because, to be honest, chalk is white, really. And
Why can't it be black?
Yeah,
Why can't we have
why
whiteboards
is-
and write in black?
why are there no black chalk too?
This is just insanity.
It just
isn't
goes on.
it?
I mean, where do you draw the line? I read another example which said a UK recruiter was stunned when her job advert for reliable and hard-working applicants was rejected by the job centre as it could be offensive to unreliable and lazy people.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard.
It's
Amazing. That's a complete nonsense, isn't it?
I know, and Bar Black Sheep as well. You can't say Bar Black Sheep anymore.
That's
Really?
No,
But there are black sheep.
exactly.
there is.
There's black sheep, there's white sheep. I mean, you can't name them by their colours anymore. I don't know if the black sheeps get offended.
Yeah, I
By
think they
hearing
would.
the
I think they would actually. The white sheep get shout-outs, right? But you're not allowed to mention the black sheep. I'd be very disappointed if I was a black sheep
And what about the ugly duckling story? I mean, are they going to ban that too?
because it was ugly.
Exactly.
people.
I mean, where do you draw the line?
Wow. This is
That's an interesting one, actually. Is ugly descriptive? Would you say?
it is.
Yeah.
I think it fundamentally
So you think there's nothing offensive with going up to someone and saying, you know what, you're quite ugly. I think. Just saying it as it is.
Oh yeah, and what about we've just had another contribution come in, an old-fashioned text message, a reference to Snow White. The snow is white. I've yet
It
to come
is.
across black snow.
It's grey, I'd say.
It's a
I
grey.
mean,
It's a grey
in
area,
London
yeah.
it is.
But I think we've established that this is endless, and that giving offence and taking offence is something that needs to be reviewed, isn't it? Otherwise, we end up with a very unstimulating, boring, grey existence.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's true, though. I mean, if we look to, say, Punjabi songs or Indian songs, I think all of them are politically incorrect because everything's Gauri, Goradang.
Yeah, I know.
You wouldn't have any songs left, I don't think.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's appreciation that actually identifying one thing positively does not automatically denigrate against everything that you haven't identified.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I think we're happy with that one. So, is it worth testing, do you think, the legal establishment in this country by fabricating an offence, and let's see how far we can push the offence?
I think we should do it.
We should choose to become offended. How about we become offended about meat being served on Tuesdays in schools?
That's a great one.
What do you think? Do you think we could get away with that one?
We could try.
Yeah,
It's worth
I
a
think
shot.
so.
You know what, though? I think in a case like that, right, it's basically what people want to do deep down, even though they've got no reason for it. So if people want to eat meat, if they feel like eating meat, they're not going to agree with that point.
I mean, in Sweden...
If it was easy to give up meat, then they might.
Yeah, sorry, you were saying
in
in
Sweden, is you can't buy alcohol on Sundays.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because...
Is Sweden a majority Christian country?
Yes,
is
it
it?
is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should try that thing in India. Maybe in India, say no meat on Tuesdays.
Yeah, I'm not sure it'd work here because my granddad has a fast on Tuesdays.
But these things do influence people. I don't know whether you've heard, but last week, Mukesh Ambani, the Indian mega industrialist, he has one of his businesses is a chain of grocery stores. They supply food, and he has just bowed to pressure not to provide any meat products in a whole host of foods.
Good man.
Because people took offence. And that has influenced the nation. It's stores up and down the country who have withdrawn meat products straight away.
So that shows that taking offence can be a good thing sometimes, because you kind of get your own way if you do take offence.
But I think being a reasonable person and a stickler for being reasonable, I think there's a difference between objecting to something and taking offence.
That's true.
I think being offended is, I'm hurt, I'm going to get my tissues out, I'm going to cry because you hurt me, right? You hurt my sentiments, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's sentiments that is the dodgy area.
Yeah, so I think it's important here that you can maintain your boundaries, but it's the feeling, right? The taking offence and feeling hurt and feeling like something's been done bad against you. I wouldn't cry because there wasn't a Punjabi action man.
A GI Jat. Sorry, and that's not meant to disregard or disrespect any of our friends out there.
That sounds like a good idea, actually, for an action hero, GI Jat.
Yeah, Brahmin Babi. We could go on. This could be endless, couldn't it?
Definitely.
No, please text in and share your views on giving and receiving offence. And even if you've got a thought about this after the show's closed, do come in on our Facebook page. Just go to facebook.com and do a search for A Reasonable Conversation. And Twitter on @nusound92fm. And it would be lovely to have a caller plucking up the courage to phone in before we disappear for the week. And the studio number is 0208 472 9292. And it's a reasonable conversation.
We've had another message in from Ravi. He said the Duchess of Cornwall, who heroically stood up for freedom of speech by declaring that political correctness is a severe form of censorship as any.
I'm offended by that.
Why are you offended?
That was just habit, I'm sorry. I'm just developing a habit to be openly offended.
By everything. But it's true, I mean, it is a severe form of censorship because anything you say, you've always got to think twice. I mean, writing an article, you have to say, okay, can I write this? Can I get away with it? Will I offend this group of people?
Yep.
But, sometimes it is what it is.
It is.
Yeah, so, I mean, I was going to say, once the show wraps up, give us your most offensive comments. Text in. We'd be interested to know what it is that offends you. Facebook us. That'd be good. We'll get a wall of just hate,
And thank you very much for your texts and so on. Time is drawing to a close. This is Satish, and we've been joined by Prerna and Vivekji on A Reasonable Conversation, and we look forward to hearing from you and speaking with you and sharing the conversation next week at the same time. Have a great week, and it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me. Hi, this is Vivek. Join Satish, Prerna and I for A Reasonable Conversation. Have your say every Sunday 12 to 1, exploring controversial topics on New Sound Radio.